topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good afternoon, Dallas, the Virginias. Welcome to the Ask the Expert show, where we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. We have got an incredible show for you today. Today, we are going to be talking in the first half of the show about personal injury law. What do you do if you're in an auto accident, or maybe you had a slip and fall? We've got the most incredible attorney Mark Underwood, who's been actually with our show for several years now. And I'm so glad we have him that I've actually turned him on to someone who contacted us from California. So I know he'll be able to help her. And the second half of the show, we have Dr. Gamboa. Now, Dr. Gamboa, she is a sweetheart. She is a general practitioner, a family law attorney. And I'm going to tell you something. When it comes to weight loss, hormones, she is amazing, especially the way she explains things to you. I just want to check my email while we're waiting for attorney Mark Underwood.
Mark is here.
Okay. He's with us now. We're going to wait for him to come on. And he just missed this great opening I gave him. There he is. Hi, Mark.
Steve, I actually heard it and took notes and even recorded it. I was so impressed.
How are you, Mark?
I'm good. And it's hard for me to believe that it's actually been a month since I've talked to you, because it seems like it was just like a week and a half or maybe 2 weeks ago. And,
well, what we did for Mark, you're so special that we give you the last Wednesday of each month, so it's easy to remember when your show is going to come on. We don't do that for everybody. We love your show.
I appreciate it. It's because I have so much fun. I mean, if it wasn't fun, I wouldn't be looking forward to it. But it seems like it was just, didn't we hang out last week together? So I'm glad to be back.
And you know what, Mark? Your show goes by so fast. It's like,
it does.
It's already been 25 minutes already.
Yeah.
And I know I probably shocked you. And I don't know if there's anything that you could do, but a listener to the show said, hey, I've got this friend who was in an automobile accident, but we think she's paralyzed. I went, oh my, this is not something simple. And I said, I got to give this to Mark. I don't know if you can help her or not. I didn't get all the particulars, but I heard auto accident, paralysis, and I didn't care where she was, because I know one way or the other you'll be able to help her.
Now, Steve, is that a different case than the California case that we spoke about a month back? Or is that the same case?
This is the California case. I don't know how much the story has changed, but that's what I was told.
Yeah, I was actually looking at her medical records today, and it's a real tragic set of circumstances. I only briefly got into the medical records, but your heart just goes out to somebody who's had their whole life destroyed. It'll be interesting to see if we can help her.
Yeah.
The medical records are downright scary.
That's what I heard. But I knew it was something big, and you're the only one that comes to mind. And we do have a lot of personal injury attorneys in other markets, but I said, you know what? I know she's in California, but maybe Mark can help her. We'll see. We'll just keep us abreast of what's going on. And I sat here and lied to her, told her how great a guy you are and how hard you work. But you know what, Mark? When I hear big cases, you're like the first one I think of from your background.
Well, we've handled a lot of really big cases in the past. We've got a bunch of big cases going on now, and it seems like about once a month we get a call for a really big case. So you kind of have to allocate your time to the right cases just to keep them going. We appreciate it.
That's what happens when you get a good reputation.
Well, you work hard for a bunch of years and you lose a bunch of hair. You got to get something out of it.
Well, you know what? We must have gotten at least 15 emails from people. It was funny in the Dallas area. They weren't Dallas. It was like Garland, Richardson, Midlothian, had people who were finding the show for the first time. And what I like for you to do is tell people about yourself and your practice.
Well, my name is Mark Underwood. I own Underwood Law Offices. We have an office in McKinney, Texas. That's primarily where I work from. We also have an office in Huntington, West Virginia. I started the firm back on January 1, 1997. I think it was actually January 2, 1997. And I've been practicing now for almost 35 years. We have handled some really interesting disasters over the years, but we also handle disasters for the common person, the little guy. If you've been in a bad car wreck, or you even been in a bad slip and fall, serious injuries, that's a case we'd like to talk to you about if you believe somebody else is at fault. So people should give us a call at 844-UNDERWOOD. That's 844-UNDERWOOD, toll free, 844-UNDERWOOD.
Mark, I got a letter from somebody who we gave your number to yesterday, and they were hit from behind. They were at a red light, and of course the guy made some excuses, and then our listener said, there's cameras all over the place, you better be honest. And it's gotten that way, aren't there? Like there's cameras, seems like everywhere nowadays. But he was amazed that the guy left. I mean, he gave his information, but left before the police got there. And can that person still get a ticket for running into someone from behind that stopped?
Yeah, depending upon whether or not the officer finds that there is a section of either a municipal traffic code, municipal ordinance that has been broken, or the Texas traffic laws. I mean, you've got the traffic laws that talk about maintaining a safe distance, keeping your eyes on the road. So, you could get, depending upon the circumstances, you could get a ticket for reckless driving, especially if you're, say, on your cell phone. But ordinarily, you don't really see an actual citation in a car wreck because typically it is just negligence. But you will see on the police reports, I think in Texas we call them peace officer reports, you'll see, I think it's about number 22 or number 26, the boxes, and it'll say contributing circumstances. And under contributing circumstances, there'll be some numbers listed there. And ordinarily, when you get a copy of that police report, it doesn't tell you what the numbers mean. But if you get on the internet and type in Texas Peace Officer codes, it'll tell you, it'll pull up a sheet that has all the different boxes and all the different choices of the numbers that go in the box and what they mean. So you'll see in there under contributing circumstances what the officer's opinion of what contributed to the cause of the crash. Of course, interestingly, cops don't always get it right. A lot of times they just come to a wrong conclusion, or they don't have all the information. They get it wrong. We had a woman the other day, terrible. She came out of a parking lot and had to cross the road to get to the parking lot across the street where her husband was parked in their RV. And it was early morning, just as it was starting to become daylight. And she went to cross, and car came around the corner and didn't stop for her. I don't know. We'll find out what was going on. Was he on a cell phone or what was happening? But, he turned the corner and came about 100 feet and then ran her over. And she's got about $550,000 in medical bills, and was in the hospital for a month and a half. And the police officer said it was her fault for crossing the road, when clearly automobiles have to watch out. I'm not kidding.
Wow.
Clearly, police officers, car drivers have to watch out for pedestrians. So it'll be interesting to see what happened on that case. But we're looking at the police report. The police report found fault with the woman who was crossing the street. So sometimes cops get it.
Well, Mark, I'm a big news nut. I mean, I listen to the news all the time. I probably shouldn't. But I got to tell you, I keep, crime has gone way up. There's a lot of, I don't want to get political, but there's a lot of illegals walking around this country right now. And there's a lot of crime going on. What happens if you are shot by somebody in a store? Let's say Walmart. Is Walmart responsible? Is that personal injury?
All right. Great question. Just so happens that I've had some of those cases, Steve. So I had a case a long time ago where a young man was walking across a convenience store parking lot and got shot by another person driving through the parking lot. And the way the case goes is typically, number one, you look to see, as a lawyer, number one, is it a high crime area? Number two, because, if this is out in the suburbs and it's never happened before, you're probably not going to be able to hold the store, in this case, the convenience store, at fault. Okay. Number two, you're looking to see what's, and if crime is very common where this happens, it's what we call, us lawyers call, foreseeable. So if it's foreseeable, what steps did the retail establishment take to prevent them? So did they have a security guard there? Was the security guard trained? Did they have cameras? Was the corporation capable of monitoring the cameras? Did the staff call the police when they became aware of the problem? Of course, interestingly, in the case that I had, it turned out that the people that worked at the store got their drugs from the guy that pulled the trigger. So, as the guy drove through the parking lot 10 or 15 times throughout the night, they didn't call the police. And it also turned out that the security cameras that they had on top of the building were fake. They were just dummy cameras. And it also turned out that the security guard they had had zero training. He was a minimum wage employee that they just put a white shirt on and an official looking badge. And we were able to, and of course the young man that was shot was a paraplegic as a result of this. And so we were able to get a nice recovery, not a recovery, nothing will ever put the young man back in. He was 19 years old, 18 years old at the time. Nothing will ever give him his health back, but we were able to.
Was it a settlement, Mark?
What's
that?
Did
you have to go to court?
It was a settlement. But we got a settlement that allowed him, and he's still alive. It's allowed him a few things like transportation that were important in his life. But
yes,
you're looking to see if the crime was foreseeable and what they did or did not do to prevent the crime from happening once it was foreseeable.
You brought up something interesting in an auto accident. Do you look at the cell phone to see if they were, because you can pretty much know what time the accident happened at. Can you look at the cell phone to see if they were on their cell phone that caused the accident?
Can now. Yeah, when we subpoena records from cell phone providers, number one, we can find out, were they sending a text at the time? Were they accessing data? So you can't necessarily find out what app they were using, but we can get data showing that they were on cell phone. Of course, almost every car nowadays has a CDR. What's that? Well, a CDR is a crash data recorder. So, crash data recorder tells you the speed at the time of the crash, whether or not the brakes were applied, how long the brakes were applied, and a bunch of data that will allow you to figure out whether or not will allow you to figure out how a crash actually occurred. So, one of the things you said was there's a lot of cameras out there. Yes, there's a lot of cameras. Sometimes it's kind of tough to get camera footage if you don't know if you don't get it as soon as shortly after.
Oh yeah.
Those crash the cameras, what we used to call videotape recorders. Those things overwrite the old data pretty frequently. So you'd have to request that sort of footage pretty early. But in a car, the crash data recorder is a lot like a black box in an airplane. So it it's always and that stuff usually has a pretty fair amount of longevity. So you can get it pretty significant time after the crash, especially if the car is at the repair shop for a while. But so there's a lot of data out there now, so we don't have to necessarily rely on one person's word against another.
We just got a text in from Kyle in Mesquite, and he said, "I'm really enjoying your show. I found your show last month. I'm glad I found it again. Just remember, it's the last Wednesday at 4:00. We do this every month." His question is, how do you know when it's time to settle and not go to court?
Well, really depends on the client. Some clients, they'll come in right from the very beginning and tell you, I don't want to go to trial under any sort of circumstance. I'm absolutely terrified of having to speak in front of people. When I was at school, I didn't want to stand up and have the attention of everybody on me. Some clients right at the very beginning will come in and tell you that. Other clients, they know that they have a constitutional right to a jury trial under the Seventh Amendment. And a lot of times, people who are new to the country will want to see that, especially from Eastern Europe, will want to see that constitutional right play out. When it comes to advising somebody, what we typically try to do is there's some databases we can get on and we can see what are past jury verdicts in similar cases. No case is the same, but there are some similarities that you can draw conclusions from. So we'll research them in comparison to past cases. We'll compare them to previous cases we've done. Of course, we're always looking at what the medical bills are, what the lost wages or earnings are, any other sort of economic damages are, and just how bad the conduct of the defendant was. So it's more of an art than a science, but ultimately you're trying to make your client happy, and when they're happy, that's the time to settle.
I got to tell you a couple of things. We're here in Florida, and a Miami police officer who's a friend of mine told me that half the people in Miami do not have auto insurance. And I was shocked by those numbers. Is that like anywhere in the Dallas-Fort Worth area?
I wouldn't say it's half, but I would say it's probably 20% here. And I would also say that, probably at least 70% of the insurance policies out there are the minimum limits auto insurance policies of like $30,000 per person, $60,000 per occurrence. So it's super, super, super important. Anybody, if you want to take one thing home from today's show, if you're out there listening and you want to say, here's one thing important I learned today from listening to Steve-O and Mark, it's buy underinsurance. Okay, buy uninsurance. You've got to have uninsurance. You've got to have underinsurance, because there are a lot of people who have come across illegally. They don't have auto insurance, or I've seen fairly wealthy people who are citizens who do have insurance, but they still have those minimum limits policies. And if there's a minimum limits policy, your medical bills are going to eat all that up. I mean, it's going to be difficult for you to be fully compensated, because there's just, the medical bills nowadays are so expensive that, $30,000 policy will be just gone lickety split. So buy uninsurance, buy underinsurance. It's pretty cheap when you go to do it. Spend the extra $10 a month and do that. It's probably not even $10 a month. It's probably about $3 a month. But buy that and protect yourself. You got to protect yourself.
Yeah, Mark. Another thing I noticed, and we only have a few minutes left. Used to be you go to a gas station and tell them to replace a bulb in your lights. And I did that, about a month ago, and they wanted $190 to replace 2 light bulbs.
Wow.
And they said, because it's so hard to get to. And I've been noticing lately so many cars missing lights. And I think that's what it is, because it's become so expensive just for a light bulb. I mean, everything is going up. I mean,
it used to be, if you remember, it used to be you just open the trunk, right there was the light bulb.
Yeah.
You just put it in.
Yes.
You're good. Hey, one other thing I would also add about underinsurance and uninsurance. The best insurance company I've seen out there in treating their own insureds in the uninsured or uninsurance setting is USAA. And I don't know if that's because, their insureds are ex-military and they respect them more than other insurance companies respect their insureds, or it's just their way of doing business. And heaven forbid that I sound like an ad for an insurance company, because, we sue insurance companies all the time. But let me tell you, USAA has done right by our clients who have been their insureds on uninsurance policies and underinsured policies. In fact, we switched from one of the other major carriers to USAA because I saw how they treated our clients and their insureds on uninsurance. So
let's give everybody your phone number and your website.
Hey, so the website is underwoodlawoffice.com. Underwoodlawoffice.com. That's Mark Underwood. You can probably type in Mark Underwood Lawyer or underwoodlawoffice.com. We're up in McKinney. The phone number is toll free 844-Underwood. Again, that's toll free 844-Underwood. So you reach us there. We have an answering service 24 hours a day if we're not in the office. So call us at 844-Underwood.
Mark, you know what I love most about doing your show? I know that whoever hires you, that you're going to do a wonderful job for them, and they are going to be so happy that they chose you as their attorney. I just appreciate your firm so much.
Thanks, Steve-O. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you having me on the show all the time.
I love having you on the show. Hey, we'll see you next month, Mark.
Last Wednesday of the month, Steve-O.
That's it, buddy.
All right.
Thank you so much. That's attorney Mark Underwood. Great personal injury attorney. He's been with us for several years. We're going to go to our next expert. And I got to tell you, she has become like one of my favorite doctors. She's just a real sweetheart. She explains everything. And I am so glad that we have her on our show. We've gotten so many questions, weight loss questions, a lot of hormonal questions. And when it comes to hormone, you don't want some doctor talking over your head. You have no idea what they're saying. And I guess, is she on with us yet, Rebel?
Hey,
There
Steve.
she is. She's scared. Look at that. Voila.
Ta-da.
Magic. Dr. Gamboa, I was just telling everybody, when it comes to especially hormones, the way you explain to people, I actually got 2 letters from people going, I love Dr. Gamboa. I understand everything she said. I don't even understand my own doctor half the time. That's really a nice compliment, isn't it?
Yes, thank you so much for that. I'm really happy to be here and honored. Thank you so much, Steve.
Hey, no, it's our honor. Dr. Gamboa, tell people about your practice.
My practice is like Elite Care Clinic, and we are here in Las Colinas, and we are a family medicine practice, but also like we do more wellness, hormone replacement, weight loss. That is like, I believe those are the main problems to fix, that we're going to like help people like prevent them from developing obstructive sleep apnea, heart attacks in the long term, diabetes, and all that. So that's what we do the most.
Do you consider yourself as functional medicine?
Not fully functional because I don't have the certificate for that, but I do a lot.
Oh, you don't need it. You don't need it.
But I do a lot of like functional medicine, wellness, especially like because I love how like the basically the equilibrium, like how like your hormones work in harmony with you, like, and everything has to be better. Like I'm looking into at some point becoming a lifestyle board certification or board certified. So I'm looking into that, and I'll be doing that in the near future.
I got to tell you, I know you do hormone replacement, and we've had so many people ask us to ask you to explain hormone replacement and how it works.
Oh yes, Steve, like this is a wonderful question, like hormones, like as you know, like starting our 30s, 40s, 50s, our hormones starts going down for men and women, like more women we can tell more about because of menopause and everything, but in our 30s, our hormones starts going down. So it's very important to replace those and bring those levels up where they were so that you can have a great quality of life. We can prevent so many like chronic diseases. Nowadays, I was not long ago over there in Orlando, Steve, and I was in a conference. I was in the testosterone conference with the gurus of testosterone,
Mm.
you know, like Dr. Morgenthaler, Dr. Rubin. Those are awesome. And it was an awesome uh, conference where they teach us how to replace it safely, like how the testosterone benefits men and women, because for the longest, testosterone is being only considered a hormone for like the male only, and also like a sex hormone, you know, but in reality, testosterone is way more than that. Testosterone is like the hormone that makes you feel good. It gives you the quality of life. It gives you vitality. It gives you all this sense of well-being, on top of decreasing your risk for heart attacks, strokes, helps you with decreasing your risk for dementia, decrease the risk for osteoporosis, and
Yeah.
overall, it makes you feel good.
You know, I was surprised because when I think testosterone, I think as you get older, you have less testosterone. But from now, I understand that it's ageless. You could be 25 years old and be low in
Yes.
testosterone.
Exactly. And that's what's happening because more and more our younger people are not being very active physically. They're eating more like processed foods, and obesity can cause a lot of these problems. You know, they can make your testosterone levels go down. And the answer for these younger people is not giving them testosterone, because what's going to happen is that if we give them testosterone, later on we are going to decrease the amount of sperm, so then we are going to cause them sterility, like if like we keep giving them the testosterone, because the testicles are going to say, oh well, I don't need to work anymore, I have extra testosterone, and they become lazy, and little by little the
Yeah.
sperm count goes down. So that's not the good thing to do for younger people. So for younger people that want to have kids at some point in their life, the idea is to eat better, do exercise, lose weight, and with that, their testosterone levels are like going to like get better.
Dr. Gamboa, tell people how important sleep is as
Oh,
to weight loss.
it's very important, and not only for weight loss, Steve, and probably you can tell me also because unfortunately you mentioned some that you suffer from obstructive sleep apnea. So deprivation
Yes.
of sleep, it's going to like cause so many problems. It's going to cause problems with your blood pressure. It's going to cause problems with your heart, with your brain, with your memory, and on top of that, it's going to affect your weight, because the less sleep we have, guess what's going to happen? Your cortisol levels also go up. Like in the morning, your hormone, your hunger hormone goes up, and it's a vicious circle. So you get hungrier, you eat more, you keep gaining weight, then you are having like sleep apnea. So it's unfortunately it's a vicious circle.
You know, I know you can test hormones by either blood work or saliva. What do you prefer?
You know, like I'm more into the serum levels, and we check it in the blood. So we have a
Mhm.
little bit more consistency with that. Also, whenever you go for the saliva test, you have to have a very reliable lab to do consistently
Oh,
the right way. I don't do that personally, but I know that many experts and many functional doctors, they check the levels in the saliva. However, like for whenever I replace the pellets, then we do the serum levels in the blood.
well, I got to tell you, because of your show, we have been inundated by letters wanting us to ask you about the injection and losing weight. And I got to tell you, so I have a kidney problem.
Hmm.
And because of that, my insurance through my kidney specialist is allowing to pay for the injection. I was
That's
shocked
great.
because they're not cheap,
Yeah.
but I mean, I got it right. So I kind of know. I mean, the needle doesn't hurt. I mean, if you're thinking about it, you think about giving yourself an injection, it's not a big deal. I'm the biggest baby in the world. But here's my question. We were always taught more meals, small meals, like every 2 or 3 hours to keep the metabolism going. But these injections make you sick to look at food. So talk to me.
All right, Steve. So, like, I don't know which injection you have, because now, like, we have the two options. Like, one that is the one that everyone is
The
knows
big
about it.
O.
This is
The big
semaglutide.
O.
Yes, the big O, the Ozempic, and that's the one that it's like the molecule is like the peptide is semaglutide, but the Ozempic is the brand name for diabetes, and the brand name for the weight loss only is Wegovy. You know, so if you're talking about this one is only one peptide. It's called semaglutide. So it has GLP-1. So what does this mean? This means that it's going to, yes, suppress your appetite, and it's going to increase your satiety. And by doing that, also is going to make all this your food stay longer in your stomach. So let's say, for example, someone that doesn't take this injections, my stomach, like after a meal, it may take around 4 hours to like empty its contents, right? But people that are on these injections, it's going to take double the time, 7, 8 hours, a little longer. So it gives time for your brain also to say, okay, Steve, you're full, please stop eating. So in that context, you have to make sure that you eat smaller portions, right? But I would recommend always to try to eat more protein more than carbs, because like whenever you eat more protein, it stays longer, it's better. It's not going to give you all this like too much fermentation or bloating in your stomach, and it's going to be feel a little better than just eating carbs or too condimented or too greasy. So you're going to early on like learn how to eat or what are the foods that are going to work with you. But I will recommend everyone that is in the injections, no matter if it's the semaglutide or the newer one that is called Zepbound, that is tirzepatide, that is a combination of two peptides, then to always include protein in their meals. Because anytime that we're going to lose weight, no matter how or what you do, we're going to lose fatty tissue and we're going to lose muscle mass. And what we don't want to lose too much is muscle. So we have to make sure that you eat protein, you do some like resistant exercises, because the resistant exercises is going to make muscle, and the muscle is going to help to maintain your weight whenever like we're going to try to see if like we're going to be tapering you down on the medications or see what how we're going to help you to maintain your weight.
Norma, first of all, she wants to know, do you accept Medicare?
We do accept Medicare patients. The only problem with Medicare coverage is that unfortunately, Medicare at this time, they don't cover weight loss medications yet. If
And
you do have
that is
diabetes,
ridiculous.
yes, it is. So that's why I always tell patients, and I can use this platform to say, please call your representative, ask them to like advocate for the coverage of weight loss medications for Medicare people, because those are the patients that they needed the most. And on top of that, if, for example, you have diabetes, and yes, they cover the medications, but guess what happens? Whenever you're September, October, depending on how medications you have or how much is that you have to pay, you're going to end up being in what they used to be called the donut hole. So at that time, you don't have any more money to cover for your medications. So they go back to being $1,800, $700. Who can pay that? Some patients that are in
Right.
Medicare fixed incomes, that's basically the whole check that they have. So it's ridiculous how this health system is, unfortunately. So hopefully it will get better, but that's the problem with the coverage with Medicare.
Excuse my expression, but that sucks. I mean, for
Yeah,
everything that weight does to you, and for them not, it seems like they could be saving so much money in the long run by
yeah,
covering weight loss.
and it's
I
sad
want to
how it is.
I want to go to Norma in Irving. That's close to
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Norma says, "I love your show. I'm going to
Thank you.
become a patient of yours." That's good news.
Yes,
I
thank
want to
you.
know, they keep saying carbs is how you get energy, but they tell us to cut out carbs. I don't understand.
Well, we have to like eat the right amount of carbs and the right type. So the carbs that are not very useful to you are the refined carbs. That means the muffins, the little pastries, the cereals. Those are not the good ones to eat. We want to eat the complex carbs, meaning that it's going to take longer for your body to use them, and they are not going to cause that spike or that increase, a sudden increase on your insulin. So we would love for you to start eating whole grains, like sweet potato instead of the normal potato, quinoa. Quinoa is an awesome grain that coincidentally comes from Bolivia, South America, and Peru. And it's a very good one because it has the amount of protein, the amount of iron, the amount of zinc, and similar to a red meat, and it's a grain. So you should try that to incorporate more in your diet.
I read today Susan Lucci, who was on All My Children, she found out she had cancer and she started eating 3 things a day, and she still does it every day. She eats salmon,
Mhm.
she eats blueberries, and
Mhm.
she eats kale. Those
Yep.
are the 3 things that she eats. And she said, I think that that has stopped my cancer. Do you agree with that?
Like I don't I don't know what, I'm not her oncologist to see like how her cancer is, but I can tell you that what she eats, it has all these anti-inflammatories, it has all the antioxidants that we always are telling people to do. So salmon is part of the Mediterranean diet. That's the diet that has been shown that decreases the risk for cardiovascular disease, heart attacks, strokes. It has tons of omega-3 6, and those are also shown to decrease inflammation. The blueberries have great antioxidants that also, like any antioxidant, is going to help against inflammation. It's going to be anti-inflammatory. And the kale is a part of like the like crustaceous cruciferous, sorry, like cruciferous, like uh, vegetables like broccoli, kale, like uh, Brussels sprouts, like so they have like this like antioxidant or this like substance that's called DIM, and that also has
Mm-hmm.
been shown in some studies, not a lot of them, but some studies that they may decrease the risk for like breast cancer. They may decrease the risk for like prostate cancer. So yeah, I believe that those are helping her. And I don't know if at the point of stopping it, but definitely they're going to help her.
Uh, Another text just came in. This is from Stan. Is melatonin good to take to get sleep?
Melatonin in the right doses, like they will definitely help you, because what happens is that all of us, we have melatonin, but because of blue light and because of our like work schedule and things like that, we mess up with our circadian cycle. Normally whenever the sun goes down, your melatonin levels go up, kind of giving a signal to your brain that it's time to go rest, to go to sleep. But again, because we are in our phones, we're in our electronics, blue light, more stimulation, or sometimes they play games up to like 1, 2 in the morning, right? So those kind of things can cause disruption in that. And that's why sometimes we may need to like take melatonin. So by melatonin, let's say like you have to take it like consistently at the same time to help form like, again, like a retrain your brain. We have to do a sleep hygiene that is going to again retrain your brain. So like you should not take 10, 20, 30, like just like 5 milligrams of melatonin along with some magnesium initially. They can help you like go back to your schedule and help you out.
Uh, you know, you keep hearing these ads about testosterone that this speeds up your pituitary gland. Is that the one that makes testosterone?
No, like, well, everything is related, like the ones that they make the testosterone are your testicles, but they are going to receive the signals from your brain, definitely. Like, so The testosterone like is going to help, as I was mentioning before, with many things. It's going to help you decrease the visceral fat. It's going to help decrease the insulin resistance. It's going to help you make more muscle mass. So by doing this, you're going to be able to decrease all your risks for prediabetes, metabolic syndrome, and all that, and especially the energy and the mentality, the agility, and that kind of brain fog that sometimes you have. That helps a lot with the testosterone.
Somebody asked me yesterday to ask you, almost forgot, and I think I'm pretty sure you do. You do that, the pill that goes under the skin for energy? The pellets.
Yes.
Do you like those? Do you get really good results from them?
Yes, patients really like it. Like the subcutaneous, it's a hormone replacement therapy, but it's through subcutaneous pellets. So this has been like since the 30s around. So like they're not really experimental as many people may think. So they've been around for so many years. The good thing is that nowadays, like we have a lot of evidence and research showing us that how safe they are. Like what I like about them is that they deliver consistent hormone levels. That you're not going to have that kind of roller coaster, like going up with injections, down with whenever it's gone. So like it's a more consistent levels that patients appreciate and they feel good. I had like very good results. Of course, like these are not for everyone because some patients are more sensitive. So we always have to see what's going to work for them. But for the most part, they do really good and they feel much better.
Great. Hey, Dr. Gamboa, your show goes by so fast. Let's give everybody your phone number and your website address.
Sure. Like the phone number in the clinic is 469-947-6020. And the website is elitecare-clinic.com.
I tell you, it is so easy to do your show. Dr. Gamboa is listen, you can really keep up because she's the last Wednesday of the month at 4:25 every month. Dr. Gamboa, thank you again. We love talking with you, and we'll see you again next month.
Well, thank you so much, Steve, for always having me in your show. Thank you so much.
We love having you. Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Gamboa.
you. Bye-bye.
Dr. Gamboa, she is such a sweetheart. Last Wednesday of the month, 4:25. That's it for us today. We'll be back with you again next week with more experts. Thanks for tuning in. God bless everybody.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.